Hello, my name is Emily Naish and I'm the archivist and librarian at Salisbury Cathedral. My job is to look after the library and archive collections. Today we're in the Cathedral Library. The history of the library goes back to the medieval period, right back to the late 11th century, when the cathedral used to be based at the previous site up at Old Sarum. And up there was a scriptorium in which priests wrote their own books. So we're very fortunate that we have a collection of medieval books which were actually made at the cathedral's earlier site and which are actually older than this building itself. And then we have books right up to modern reference books about the history of the cathedral, so right up to 2017 and onwards. But this room as the library was built in 1445. It's above the east cloister of the cathedral, and one or two things we do know about its history is that we know that the original wooden bookshelves were made out of 30 oak trees donated by Henry VI from the Royal Forest. And to commemorate this, they put a carving of Henry VI's head above the library door. We also know that this used to be a chained library, so the books were secured to the bookshelves by chains in order to prevent them being taken away. And we still have about 100 of the medieval chains surviving in the library, although the books are no longer attached to them. So we don't know when the original bookshelves that the books were chained to were taken down, but the bookcases we have today are beautifully made by the cathedral's carpenters out of elm, from elm trees that were felled in the close in the 1970s due to Dutch elm disease. Although not medieval, they are still beautiful architectural pieces in themselves. The books in the library, we think about 10,000 altogether, although there are still quite a number that haven't been catalogued, so we can only estimate how many books we have. The oldest one goes back to the 9th century, and this is one book out of a collection of about 200 manuscript books. So these are books that were created and written before printing was invented. And amongst those books are about 60 books which were written by the cathedral's scribes at its previous site at Old Sarum, and which were brought down here in the 1220s when the cathedral was built where it is today. So these books are actually older than the cathedral itself and provide a fantastic connection between the old site and the new site. These early manuscript books were all written on parchment, which is made out of animal skin, and were written using quills made out of swan or goose feathers. The biggest part of the collection are the rare printed books, which date from about the 1470s up to the 19th century. And this is a real eclectic mix of books which has grown organically over the cathedral's history through donations and bequests. So for example, we had a large donation by Bishop Edmund Guest when he died in 1577 of about 1,200 or so books from his personal library. And we had another donation by Bishop Seth Ward when he died in 1669. Again, about 300 books from his own library, and he was very interested in medicine and science and astronomy, so we've got books on those subjects. So generally speaking, the books we have in the library, although there's quite a strong theological and biblical bent to it, it really represents the interests of the people who gave the books to us. This is the archive storage room where we keep all the historical documents relating to the cathedral's history, right up from the medieval period, from the 12th century up to the present day. We have documents on parchment going back to the medieval period, and we have electronic records on CDs and digital media dating from just a few days ago. We have things like correspondence, financial records, records relating to property that the cathedral used to own, photographs, drawings such as these. These are some drawings from the 19th century of work done in the cathedral. We have some cassette tapes here of recordings of the choir, all sorts of publications, leaflets, posters, anything and everything that the cathedral has either produced or received during the course of its 800 or so years history. So this is the second little archive storeroom we have, much the same as the other one, lots of new shelving and everything in archive-friendly boxes. But what we also have in here is a data logger, which helps us to record the temperature and the humidity that the documents are kept in. It's very important that we monitor the environmental conditions if the humidity gets too high, so if there's too much moisture in the air, then there's a danger that mould might start growing. So one of the things we want to do is increase accessibility to the archive and library collections, and in particular give people an opportunity to come and see what we have here and to enjoy it, particularly people who might not think that an archive or a library is for them, or they might feel they wouldn't be able to have an opportunity to come and visit us and see our documents and books. So the Animating the Archives project is a fantastic way of giving the opportunity to people who wouldn't normally be able to visit the library and archive to get real close-up, first-hand experience of documents and books that we have. So we're letting people handle things and look really closely at a whole range of different parts of the collections, in the hope that this will inspire them to go away and produce their own artistic projects based on what they've seen and what they've experienced. And some of those items, we hope that they produce their artwork and animation films, we hope will be added to the archive as well.